Assalamu alaikum. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi shrali sadri wa yassiri amri wahlul uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbi zidni ilma. Hope everyone is well. Today we are here to solve one more scenario-based question, that is October-November 2025, paper 2-2. And the other questions have already been uploaded, so you can go through them. And if you have any query, then you can ask and comment in the comment section. Before we proceed to the actual solving of the scenario-based question, let's talk about what you need to know in order to score a total of 15 marks. Basically, your scenario-based question is assessed on two assessment objectives. Assessment objective 2, that is based on applying the knowledge and understanding of the principles and concepts of computer science to the given scenario. And for that, you need to apply the analysis and design of the combinational or programming problems. In order to score maximum of 9 marks, what you need to do, you must have used the required techniques that are needed in order to solve any problem, like the use of counting or totaling or maximum or minimum or the input and output. So whatever is the requirement, so you have handled that efficiently in your answer. That means that you will be able to score maximum of 9 marks. Maximum are 9 marks. And these 9 marks are obtained when you are like all the criteria that is set in the question, you have understood that well, you have covered that in your answer, and it is including all the required techniques. Secondly, the data structures that you have chosen are appropriate, and they are storing all the required data. It means that if you have followed these basic principles, you have inserted the like you have used the right data structures, and you have used the right programming techniques, then out of 9 maximum marks reserved, you'll be scoring 7 to 9 marks very easily. Moving to assessment objective 3. Here, you need to evaluate the computer systems. You are being assessed for making reasonable judgments, and have to present the conclusions also. This assessment objective 3 is maximum of 6 marks, and you will be scoring 6 marks if your program has been fully commented whenever needed. You have used identifiers that are meaningful. Again, an important requirement of the maintainability of a good program. The program is following a logical order. Most important, the solution is accurate. It is meeting all the required criteria. And these things, if you have followed all these, like the solution is performing all the tasks that are required in the scenario-based question. So if you have inserted all these values, then definitely you are going to score maximum of 6 out of 6 for assessment objective 3. So these are the basic requirements that you need to know. I'm not covering the other stuff because definitely we as teachers want you to be the best performers. And that is why when you are solving the question, you have to take into account that you are including all the required things in your answer to get the maximum marks in this scenario-based question. Now, this is the question. This is question number 8. A program is required to the fairness of the random number generator. The 1D array random number is used to store 100,000 random integers. The 2D array counted number is used to store the integers 1 to 10 inclusive and the frequency of each integer. And with frequency, they mean the number of times each integer was generated. Like how frequently this number was generated. Now, this is the frequency as we talk about the frequency. Fine. Now, this is the requirement. Now, this is the basic requirement that you need to see the fairness of your required random number generator. Write a program that meets the following requirements. The first requirement, it generates 100,000 random integers between 1 and 10 inclusive. Store each number in the appropriate array. Now, they have given you the word appropriate array because this is what you need to decide that which array is the best one to be used. Calculate the frequency of each of the integers 1 to 10 and store these values in the appropriate array. Again, you need to know that which array is supposed to be used in this case. Sort the contents of the counted number array in descending order of frequency. Descending order of frequency is the requirement for sorting. Calculate the chance of generating each of the integers 1 to 10 round it to 4 decimal places. 4 dp is the requirement, and you have to use the formula chance equals to frequency divided by 100,000. So this is the frequency. This frequency is how frequently is the value occurring in the array. Output each of the integers 1 to 10 in the order they are stored in the counted number array, along with the chance of generating them. So this is what is the requirement, that you have to output each of the integers, like 1 to 10, all the integers, along with the chance, along with the frequency that they have, like you have stored in the array. The following is an example of an algorithm that sorts a 2D array in ascending order. Now, they have given you a sample pseudocode, and you can refer to this pseudocode in order to convert this from ascending order to descending order. I'm not concentrating this at the moment, because once you move on to that requirement, we'll talk about that also. You must use pseudocode or program code and add comments to explain how your code works. All arrays, variables, or constants used must be declared for this algorithm. So do not start your work immediately. You can see this is a requirement that they want you to declare all the variables. It means that this will definitely be carrying some marks. And meaningful identifiers. Remember, this is the most important thing that we need to remember. All inputs and outputs must contain suitable messages. Now, this is another thing, that whatever display, whatever output we are using, whichever inputs we are taking, whatever we are doing, that should be containing meaningful messages, so that the person, suitable messages, so that the person who is reading the pseudocode can comprehend what is happening here. Now, moving to the data structures required. You can see the requirements that are here in the question paper are arrays or lists that are supposed to be used in the same way, like random number, counted number are the two arrays, and you cannot change them as per your wish. The variables are as per your choice. You can use any variable of your choice. Requirements. Requirement 1, arrays and variables declared. Then 100,000 random numbers generated. Random integers between 1 and 10 inclusive are going to be generated and stored in the 1D array or in an array. Array and variable declarations, iteration, random number generation, rounding, and storage. It includes all the things that are needed for requirement number 1. Requirement 2, frequency of each random integer counted and results stored in the array, then results sorted in descending order. And for that, you need initializing, you need to go for selection, you need to go for iteration, which is definitely going to be nested because of the bubble sort being used here, counting, sorting, and definitely the storage in the appropriate arrays. After that, we are done with the requirement 2. The third requirement is calculation of the chance of each random number occurring rounded to 4 decimal places, and results are output. And for requirement number 3, we need iteration, rounding, and output. So before you proceed to the actual answer writing, you need to analyze, you need to jot down the basic things the way it is done here in the in this video, so that once you are sitting for the exam, you are sitting in the exam, any question that is coming to you, you'll be doing exactly in the same manner. You will underline, you will say which are the keywords, which are the key concepts, and you are going to just plan accordingly. You can just utilize your question paper for noting down the basic things, and like whichever variables you think are going to be used here, whichever concepts are supposed to be used here, like counting, iteration. If you even think that which iteration you need to use, count control or the condition control, whatever, you have to plan this before you start your answer. This is what is the, I should say prerequisite. Fine. Now moving to solving of this question. Let's see. Now we are going stage wise. The very first stage is we have to declare the arrays, variables, or constants needed in the program. So here we can see the first part is dealing with the declaration of the arrays. As you can see, there are two arrays, random number, and just for the simplicity, we have drawn it here to make you understand the first 1D array is random number. And this is just to make you understand that it is containing 100,000 integers, 100,000 values. Like it may have any integer value that has been generated. So it will be stored here. Location 1, location 2, like 1, 2, 3, 4 till 100,000. All the values will be stored in the 1D array. It's a 1D array random number. And then counted number is a 2D array that is storing the integer values like 1 to 10 and the frequency, how many times have they occurred in your random generator program. So for this, we have two arrays, and the first array is a 1D array. That is what you can see here. Declare random number colon array 1 colon 100,000 of integer. Second one is my 2D array, and you can see the 2D array is declared. Just be cautious. It's going to be total of 10 rows and 2 columns. And since we are going to use location number 1 and location number 1 for row and column, that's why you can see declare counted number is with the name of my array, colon array, and then within brackets we are mentioning total of 10 rows, that is why 1 colon 10, comma 1 colon 2, because we have two columns. Column 1 is containing the integer values and column 2 is containing the frequency, that how frequently is that number occurring in the random number generator. Then we have two indexes for iteration, index 1, index 2. Then for sorting, we have used a swap variable, which is of Boolean type, taken from here. Here it is the variable f that has been used here. But again, just a hint, f and I are not very, very clear indicators that what are they meant for. While looking at the variable swap, you can understand it's meant to handle the swapping. That's why the variable is swap. Since we have to have two temporary variables, that's why we have taken temp1, temp2 to handle the temporary 1 and temporary 2, the two values that are going to be used in swapping the elements. Now this is done. The first part, which is required, a prerequisite that all arrays, variables, or constants must be declared for the program, for the algorithm. That's done. So my first very important thing is done. Now let's move to the second part. The second, or in other words, answer the first requirement, and that is generating 100,000 random integers between 1 and 10 inclusive, and storing each integer in the appropriate array. Now for this, a very simple program, a very simple requirement, a very simple method of meeting this requirement. Again, remember the use of comments, generating 100,000 random integers between 1 and 10 inclusive and store them into the array. We declared two variables, index 1, index 2 for the iteration. So we have taken help of index 1, and for index 1 equals to 1 to 100,000, like here the random number generator. And this will be in this iteration. What will happen? Random number of index 1 means first time the value of index 1 is 1. So it will be generating a random number using, you can see, which are the two functions, ready-made functions or library routines that we have used here. The first one is random, and that is meant to generate a random number. You can see this is how we write the random function. Random, brackets open, brackets close. Since we have to generate total of 1 to 10 inclusive random number generators, that's why into 9 and comma 0, because we want the value to be integer. And if we didn't mention, then it may definitely be taking a number that is not that is basically a decimal value. It may contain a decimal value also. It may contain real value. So this is comma 0 is done just to round it off. A random into 9 comma 0, and this is rounded off to 0 place, means it will be converted into an integer, and plus 1, so that it will go on till total of 10 values. This is what we have learned earlier many times. This round function and random combination has been used in a number of other questions also. So random into 9 comma 0 will be generating a random number, and round function is used, and please be clear, it's a nested function. Round outside, random inside, random generation into 9 comma 0 plus 1. So it will generate a random number, and it will be stored in locations 1, 2, 3, 4, likewise, starting from location 1 till 100,000. All the locations will be occupied by the random number. I hope that is very clear. Simple thing, random generation into 9 because of the values and into 9 plus 1. Remember, this is what we have done earlier also. I think it is very clear to you. Now moving to the second requirement. Calculate the frequency of each of the integers 1 to 10 and store these values in the appropriate array. How many times has it occurred? Now, if you remember, this is basically a sort of, you can say counting. How many times? Although it is not written the word counting here, but this is what we have understood. Now, again, you can see the random number has been populated by random values generated by the previous work that we have done. And after that, it is now the task to calculate how frequently is that number occurring in this random number array. It means that we have to actually iterate. It's basically, we have to iterate how many times. So that is why we can see first thing that is done here, we have initialized the counted number array with a value of 0. Again, you remember, this is what we have done the counting. Since we have learned counting, and in counting, what we do is we have to have initialize the variable with the 0. Now, since it's an array, that's why you can see for index 1 equals to 1 to 10. This is my counted number array, 1 to 10, and in index 1, next index 1. And inside this array, what is happening? Counted number, index 1 comma 1 means 1 comma 1 will hold index 1, means 1 comma 1 will hold 1. And the value, this 0 will come here. Then after that, the loop will iterate second time. The value for index 1 equals to index 1 will be now 2. So 2. Now second time when the loop is iterating, like 2 comma 1, which is now going to hold 2, and this value 0 will come here again. So in this manner, you can see the whole array will be populated with zeros and the respective values like this. So it will be holding 0, 0, 0. In this manner, all the values will be holding a 0 like this. If that is clear, and the reason is also clear, although it is not mentioned vividly that you have to use this initializing, but we have done it only to help in the counting process. So that is why populating, or you can say initializing the counted number array so that it can hold the values appropriately. That is what the first thing is done before we proceed to the counting process. All the values in the array, all the 10 locations in the array will be storing a 0 here so that we can start with the counting procedure later. Okay, got it? Now, after that, we are working on the counting process. Now, this is what the counting process, counting the frequency of each of the 10 random numbers, like for each of the random integers that are being generated. So just assume random number is holding in location number 1, maybe the value 100, for example. No, not value 100. Maybe the value is 10. So now it will be checking value, like maybe this is holding the value 7, maybe this is holding the value 4, this is holding the value maybe 3. In this manner, different values are here. Maybe this is also holding 3. In this manner, different values are being present here. And the job of this program part is to find out that how many times each number is present or generated in the random number array. So that is why what is done here. We first of all have to use a nested loop here. Index 1 is 1 to 10 and index 2 is 1 to 100,000. So we are simply checking one by one. We are just checking each value separately, that is it 10, is it 10, is it 10, is it 10. In this manner, the number of times 10 is occurring in my random number will be counted and then stored in the counted number array's second column. I'm repeating. Nested loop is being used here. Index 1 is 1 to 10 and index 2 is 1 to 100,000. And what is happening? It means that this random number array will be checked repeatedly from 1 to 100,000 times to see that how many times is each number occurring. When the value of index 1 is 1 and the value of index 2 is also 1, when the loop is iterating for the first time, so what are we doing? We are simply checking if random number index 2 means if random number 1 equals to counted number index 1 comma 1 means we are checking is 1 equals to 1, is 1 equals to 1. Is it equal to 1? Yes. So it will be entering the loop and it will be simply including the concept of like you will be just incorporating the concept of counting. Do not get confused with this. It's simply the value of plus one. Just like if we say a equals to a plus one, imagine in the same manner. Do not think it confusing at all. Like for example, okay, now just to make you understand, I'm just using the concept of counting here. The way we say a equals to a plus one. So do not think it's difficult. It's again very simple. Again, for the purpose of simplicity, if you want, you can write it down. And we are replacing a with the array elements. That's all. Because this is what is the requirement. Counted number index 1 comma 2 will be holding the value of counted number index 1 comma 2 plus 1, the way we said a equals to a plus 1. Similarly, here the change is now we are not holding a variable, we are holding the array locations data. So that is why counted number is the array name, index 1 is my location, or you can say it's the 1. If in the first case, comma 2, that is my column number 2, will be holding a plus 1, the value will be added and it will be stored back in the variable in this array location. And in this manner, it will keep on iterating 100,000 times for each time. Like for example, is this one, 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 is this one. So how many times one is occurring will be counted. And once the inner loop is over for the value of index 1 as 1, so this is going to hold how many times the value 1 is occurring in the random number array. Okay, I hope that is clear. Good, now let's do it for the next one. Now the value of index 1 has changed. Now it has become 2. Because the loop has iterated, the inner loop has iterated 100,000 times. Now it has moved to the upper, or you can say the outer array, the outer loop, and index 1 is now holding 2. Index 1 is now holding 2. Now we are working on 2. It will start from the beginning. It will start seeing, is it 2? 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 The number of times 2 is occurring in the random number array, it will be counted, and once the inner loop is over, it will now hold that out of these 100,000 times, maybe 500,000 times is 2 occurring in the array. Okay? Then index 1 will change to 3. Now 3 will be checked throughout the random number array. Is it 3? Is it 3? Is it 3? Is it 3? Yes. So the number of times 3 is occurring in random number, it will be stored in location number 3 for the counted number array. In this manner, all the 10 values that are present in index 1 will be counted and they'll be stored in the respective locations. And this is what is the requirement. Calculate the frequency or calculate how many times is the integer 1 or 1 to 10 occurring and in the random number, and that will be the value will be stored in the frequency column, or in other words, the second column of the counted number array. I hope that it's very clear. Just a little bit of understanding is needed. Why do I need a nested loop here? Because I have to see the number of times each random number is generated by the random number generator. That's why nested loop is used here, using index 1 to work from 1 to 10 times, and index 2 is going to handle the random number times, that how many times is the number occurring in the random number array. Now moving to the sort. Sort the contents of the counted number array in descending order of frequency. So for this, what are we doing? I'm simply referring to this one and this one. We are just following, this help is given to me, so I'm just going to follow this one. And you can see the instruction is written in the comments form. Performing sort on frequency so that the possible random numbers are stored in descending order of frequency. Swap equals to true. Instead of F, we have taken swap, while swap, do. And then just the use of a comment here, sort is terminated when no swap is taking place during a pass. And remember, just to be clear, when we talk about sorting or bubble sort, we have to handle it in in a nested loop. The outer loop is going to handle the passes, the number of times the passes are going to happen, and the inner loop is going to work the number of you can say checking. The checking is done in the inner loop. F equals to false. That's why we have written swap equals to false here. Simple, very simple. I'm just telling you right now whatever is written here, so that is an advantage for me. For I equals to 1 to 9. Now here I'm going to use index 1. For index 1 equals to 1 to 9, because again remember the number of passes is always 1 less than the number of elements. Since the elements are 10, that's why in the counted number array, the number of elements are 10, the number of locations are 10. That's why the passes will be 1 less and it will be 1 to 9. If ai comma 2 is greater than ai plus 1 comma 2. Now just be clear, we are comparing the frequencies, and frequencies are present in column number 2. That's why we are just doing the same. But just be clear here, since it is talking about ascending order, and ascending order is going to use the greater than symbol. If ai comma 2 is greater than ai plus 1 comma 2, if the first element is bigger than the second element, then we have to swap. And remember, when swapping is done, it's not done on one data. It definitely like for example, if I say now 1 is occurring maybe 3000 times and 2 is occurring maybe 5000 times. So in our case 3000 and 5000. So if it's not only 3000 and 5000 that have to be swapped, the values 1 and 2 have to be swapped also. That is why we need two variables t1 and t2. Be clear, it's not swapping. Like for example, okay, now just giving an example, value was 1 and 2, and then assume that the value 1 was occurring 3000 times and the value 2 was occurring maybe 5000 times. So in order to swap, what do you think? Will I be swapping only the this column number 2? Like 5000 will come in place of 3000, 3000 will come in place of 5000? Should I ignore this? Will these remain the same? Definitely not. That is why we need two variables. One to hold the column 1 value and one to hold the column 2 values. Here they have used T1, T2. Here we have used temp1, temp2. Okay, and another thing that is the chain that is needed here, this is ascending, so clearly written in here, and here we want it to be done in descending order. That's where the chain that I need to bring in here is the use of less than symbol. If counted number, that is my area that I need to work on, index 1 comma 2 is less than counted number index 1 plus 1 comma 2. Just like if a of I comma 2 is greater than a of I plus 1 comma 2. Here a is replaced with counted number index 1 comma 2, because this is my array name. I have to swap the counted number because the frequencies are already there. The frequencies have to be checked. The frequency data has to be swapped. That is why we have to check counted number. If counted number index 1 comma 2, if counted number index 1 comma 2 means 3000 is less than 5000, condition is true. That is why temp1 will hold the value of 3000. The way we said, the temp1 will hold the value of 1. Temp1 will hold index 1 comma 1. That will hold 1, and temp2 will hold 3000, and then the swapping will be done. Again, the same concept as we have learned for bubble sort, for sorting, that we have to first of all move the data to a temp location, then moving the second location data to the first location, then from the temp location the data moves to the first location. In this manner is the same concept, but now the help is given to me, so why not take advantage of this help? Okay, temp1 will be holding first location data, first column data, and temp2 will hold the second column data in the same manner. And then we are just moving to the second part, which is dealing with swapping the elements. So first location will hold the second location data. That's what is written here. The first location will hold the second location data. The first location will hold the second location data. Exactly in the same manner. And then the second location will now be, or in other words, you can say, um I comma 1 will be holding I plus 1 comma 1. I comma 2 will hold I plus 1 comma 2. I comma 1 is holding I plus 1 comma 1. And I1 comma 2 is holding um, I1 plus 1 comma 2. Okay? Simply storing and swapping the data. And then we are getting the data, like earlier it will be 1 moved to temp 1, 3000 moved to temp 2. Now these locations are empty. 5000 moved from its location to the first location, and 2 moved from here to up. That's done in these two lines. And then we are simply moving the data from temp to the respective locations, and that's done. And then lastly, we need to have swap variable to be true. Just follow the instructions. Just follow these values. Temp1, temp2, instead of T1, T2, A is replaced with counted number because this is my array. I plus 1 is replaced with index 1 plus 1. I comma 2 is replaced with index 1 comma 2. That's all. And we are done with our swapping. And then end if, and the next I means next index 1, end while, and my whole swapping is being done. And I'm done with my sorting part. Since the help is given to me, that way it has become very easy. But otherwise, even if you are not given help, this question has come earlier also. You can check the videos for those questions also. Again, concept is the same. You need two variables, and the concept is very clear. Why I need two variables? It's not only swapping of these. It has to swap the values here also. If there are two columns, that's why I need two variables. If there are three columns, I need three variables. Isn't it? It's very simple. Now moving to the last part. Calculate the chance of generating each of the random and integer numbers rounded to 4 decimal places. Use the formula chance equals to frequency divided by 100,000 times. Frequency means they're talking about this column number 2. This column number 2 is meant here. Output each of the integers 1 to 10 in the order they are stored in the counted number array along with the chance of generating them. So this is the requirement. Calculate the chance of generating each of the integers 1 to 10 rounded to 4 decimal places. And since we are dividing the frequency by 100,000, that's why there is a chance that you will get an answer that is containing decimals. That's why we have to use the round function to find out the value to round it to 4 decimal places. Now, this is my last part. Outputting the results with chances for each random number calculated to 4 decimal places, resulting in descending order of frequency. Now, this is just a happening of the loop, just 1 to 10. I have to work on this counted number array, and this counted number array is holding the values from 1 to 10, and that is why I'll be iterating 10 times. First of all, you need to analyze that how many times am I supposed to work? I have to work 10 times. And then simply output the chance of counted number index 1 comma 1 means the chance of number 1 occurring is. Now this is supposed to be now the chance of number 1 occurring, the chance of number 2 occurring, the chance of number 3 occurring. In this manner, the chance of all the 10 numbers occurring in the counted number array. That is what is the first output statement doing. And the second output is doing what? It's simply, now what have we done here? Instead of using another variable chance to store the result, that's perfectly okay. A student could have done it that manner also, that's perfectly okay. But what we did here, we have simply done it all together. We have simply done what? Frequency. Frequency is what? This is frequency. Frequency is basically index 1 comma 2. 1 comma 1 comma 2, 2 comma 2, 3 comma 2. This is my frequency. This is my column number 2. Frequency divided by 100,000, and this is variable chance. So rather than writing it here in a separate variable, as a separate variable, we have done it all together. Counted number is my array name. Index 1 is my location. Comma 2 is my column number 2. And we are dividing this column number 2 or frequency by 100,000 and then applying the round function, comma 4 to round off that frequency value to 4 decimal places. So instead of using a variable chance to calculate the frequency upon 100,000 and then outputting it by using round function, we have done it all together. That's perfectly okay. If a child thinks that he is not okay with that one, he wants to use a separate variable. So no worries, he can include a line just by using chance equals to index 1 comma 2 divided by 100,000. That's perfectly okay. And then he can use output and then round chance comma 4. That's perfectly okay also. Okay, got it? Do not get confused at all that this is the only method. This is one of the options that one of the can say one of the programming method that we have used. Someone can think in some other style, and if he is following the right thing, he will be definitely getting the marks because he is meeting all the requirement. Any questions? Chance, rather than storing the result of chance in a variable, we have done it all together. This is actually chance. Index 1 comma 2 is basically the frequency. Frequency divided by 100,000, stored in a variable chance or directly outputted using round function. That's perfectly okay. Now this is all the different because that is what you need to write. So the entire scenario based question is now in one manner in front of you on one screen so that you can comprehend. Earlier it was done in parts to make you understand, and this is what we suggest that you will do in the same manner. Remember the point that I discussed in the beginning. Always analyze the question, always apply the program development life cycle. Analysis, design, you are designing. Okay, and before designing you have to analyze, you have to just perform decomposition, you have to find out that what is the requirement, and only then you meet the requirement, you meet all the requirements, and you will be able to score the marks inshallah. Any questions, anything that is unclear? We have done the declarations, we have generated the random numbers, stored them in the array, we have initialized the counted number array, although it was not the requirement, but just to store the results of counting, we have used this technique, and we have performed that how many times is each number occurring, then perform the sorting with the help of my given pseudocode. But be cautious, we will not be using in the same manner. We have to use our intelligence, we have to use our understanding, and we will be using our own variables and meaningful identifiers to get the same task done. This all is all together for you, and I think that's very much clear to every one of us. Jazakallah khair Kasira for being a part of the learning journey. Hope that you have liked the video, subscribe the channel, share with your friends and family so that they all are going to benefit from it. And there are videos available on scenario-based questions of the other years also. Please do watch them, comment so that we know what you want us to work on. Again, Jazakallah khairan Kasira for being with me in this learning process. Allah Hafiz, take very good care of yourselves and your loved ones.